Good morning, Gray. Hi. Well, how do we end up with 2 bowls? Hi, honey. There you go. No harm, no foul. You coming, buddy? There's my good boy. Hi. Good morning. Everybody's accounted for, including Panther on the front porch. Good morning, Morris. Good morning. Such a good boy. Hey, Mart Man. Okay. Yay, Ruby. There's Mr. Man. Hi. Good morning. Ruby still looks nice and clean. It's in the upper 30s, but we're gonna get warm today. We're gonna rebound about 30 degrees. So, no harm, no foul. There was a frost concern for some of the northern counties, but not us last night. Don did give Ruby some attention. Mornings seem like such a marathon. Good morning, Ruby. Says it's 42. It's another beautiful morning out there, minus some of the people I'm sharing the road with. Oh, I'm always so glad to get on this stretch of road and past the split back there where things are just literally crazy for a couple of minutes. So the rollout of 11.3.1 to wide release, the FSD beta, was halted yesterday, I guess, due to needed additional revision. I mostly say that for the people outside the US that aren't waiting on pins and needles for it to show up on their car, because, you know, those of us quite anxious to get it are all hyper aware of anything that's said about it on Twitter or in the news or our YouTube channels. Totally the right thing to do if it needs revision. I get it. It looked like early feedback on Twitter from the original limited release cars that are still receiving it first, that the feedback was pretty darned good. Although there was some discussion about the speed limit percentage versus fixed amount, and I might have a little more to say about that in a bit. Making a quick stop this morning. I say that so I tell myself that I can't get held up here too long. I am meeting Michelle for Shopping Thursday, which is always good, always puts me in a good mood. Really do look forward to it. Hanging with Michelle, most of all, finding some bargains, saying hello to my friends at Guardian Angel, some of whom I've known for 20 years. So, yeah. Johnny got dropped off at the library this morning. AP Stats was moved again. Okay, I was doing too much while I stopped here. Well, you know, I do several things that keep me from messing with my phone while driving while I stop. So while part of the stopping is certainly to stretch and sometimes throw something away in the trash can, it's also about, and yeah, I have my sun visor down. It's just been brutal in the morning. I probably don't need it going out of town, however, because I'll be turning west. You know, there's multiple reasons why I stop, and I check my messages, and I do my Pokemon Go, and there's a lot of things I do on my phone in that 5 to 20 minutes you know, so I'm not distracted while driving. At any point, I'm really trying to understand something that's changed in 11.3.1 that has to do with the NHTSA recall and speed limits. I'm really trying to understand it. You know, I use a 3 mile per hour set fixed offset, and Dawn uses a 5 mile per hour set fixed offset. And as you guys that drive all know, you can't go the speed limit on any roads or you'll literally be run over, hated by other drivers, have the horn blown at you. And it doesn't even matter if you're in the right-hand lane versus the left-hand lane. The people are just brutal out there with the speed limit. So and autonomous cars, and Don has said this before, are going to have to not only obey the traffic laws, but drive in a way that, while we have this mixture of real drivers and autonomous car drivers, drive in a way that doesn't make people do impatient, silly, stupid, angry stuff with the cars. And, you know, if you're in the left lane and you're going too slow, and possibly if you're in the right lane and you're going too slow, you are going to upset a certain number of drivers, and probably pretty quickly too. So, and I'll add that I rely on looking down and going, yep, that's the speed limit, yep, I'm 3 over. I mean, I'm not doing that all the time. You know, Don's like, well, I never look at the instruments, I just drive the car. Well, I probably look at them more than him, but I'm not focused on them 100% of the time either. But I do, but I count on, yep, that's the speed limit, yep, that's 3 over. And I do that, you know, repeatedly while I'm driving. It's really not any different than having a car without cruise control and you have to look down at the speed limit to kind of make sure you're in the ballpark while driving down the road. I mean, monitoring your speed is part of driving, right? To obey the traffic laws and such. But one thing I've noticed lately, when I've been using FSD beta, and of course I don't have 11.3.1 yet, is that when I change from say a 45 mile an hour zone where I have bumped up manually on the left stalk in the X the speed limit up to 48, say, when I hit the when I hit the 55 mile an hour speed limit, it sets the speed to 55, but it's not currently setting the speed to 58, which is really what I want, right? I want it to consistently do the 3 mile an hour offset. And maybe that's because something got reset, or that's because it's not doing it anymore, or any other number of things, but I have to manually bump it up to 58 at that point, right? So there's talk between, I guess, one of the recall issues, and I really do need to research it a little more, so I apologize. I usually have researched a little better before I talk on the topic, but is a difference between, you know, the ability to do an offset or the ability to do a percentage. So in some cases, the percentage makes a lot of sense, because you don't want to be doing 10 over in a 25 mile an hour zone, most likely, right? That seems wrong. That's a slow area. 10 over is a lot more of a percentage of 25 than it is of 55. But if you're out on the interstate and it's a 55, 65 mile an hour, you probably, you know, a lot of people would feel comfortable doing 10 over. So the percentage in that case, from a safety issue, from a what you can get away with issue, you know, if you're in some cop's town and he's very protective of his citizens and he has time to enforce the speed limit and all these things, he's not going to be very happy with you if you're going through town at 35 mile an hour, where for safety reasons they've set the speed limit to 25. But out on the interstate where there's less enforcement and there's less pedestrians and all these other things, yeah, there's speed traps and there's places where they care, like construction zones where we're protecting construction workers, but you're probably a lot more likely to get away with the 10 over, right or wrong. I'm not talking about, you know, what you should do versus the law. I'm just commentary. So, but a lot of us just rely on an amount over. I guess I like the driver while we're responsible for the car, and clearly we are still responsible for the car. where we have a choice of where our comfort level is. You know, I feel like if I was forced to use a percentage, I would all the time be looking down going, oh yeah, let me do the math on that. Is that really the right speed limit? Versus looking down an instant confirmation that I'm at the desired speed limit that I, as the driver, am willing to use. So I don't know. My understanding was there were some changes in 11.3.1 that had to do with percentage, I think, being required, and I'm trying to understand that, and if I'm upset about it or can deal with it, or what additional overhead that will be to me while driving and trying to maintain that the car's doing what I asked it to do in the speed limit that I asked it to do. Recently, and you'll see the red flag here, well, orange flag on the right on that speed limit sign, they have changed the speed limit on this stretch of road from 35 down to 25, and I have to tell you that people do not want to do 25 down here. And I mean, I get why they did that. They've rebuilt most of these houses. They're trying to turn it into a really nice neighborhood. You know, there's pedestrians and families here. There's a couple of school bus stops in the morning. You know, they're trying to do the right thing with the speed limit. And, you know, I'm doing 34 right now without even trying, following traffic, getting passed by everyone. And it's just not working very well back there. I guess bottom line, to comply with the NHTSA software, quote unquote, recall, they got rid of offset and have instead are insisting on percentage in the cars, and I just don't know that I agree with this move. I mean, obviously all manufacturers working on autonomous vehicles need to have a consistent set of traffic rules to follow. And mostly U.S. traffic law, highway, you know, would be federally controlled, obviously, but locally not so much. And, you know, when you go to North Carolina and you pass your driver's license, there's a certain set of rules. And when you go to California and pass your driver's license, I'm sure that's very similar, but maybe slightly adjusted set of rules. And it's hard. I hope if they're scrutinizing Tesla's driving laws, and by the way, I do think there's some places where, oh wow, they really need to pay attention to A, what drivers do, and B, what the law is. So I'm not saying that that's not important, but I hope that they're critiquing Blue Cruise and the other driving options out there, and will continue to have the same level of either enforcement or interference, depending on how you view it, with other manufacturers, as they apparently are with Tesla. So this is what I currently have. Offset up at the top is on fixed, but I have it set to 0, and then there's another offset down lower that's relative and set to 3. I guess I'm trying to understand what the difference between the two is. The top offset has an I that I could read what it says. Maybe that's why it's not doing 40 or 58 after it switches on its own. I gotta read up on it. These things do shift over time. It was a Mustang. I read it, and it seemed like when engaging autopilot, it uses this to determine. So hopefully when I go to 45 to 55, it's going to, it says that it would engage it at the fixed or percentage amount, or whatever the current speed was, whichever was higher. And like I said, I really don't understand quite so much down here what the difference is, but why I have two. I guess I'm not understanding. I'm sure someone understands, but I don't really understand. And I'm going to turn this off and see if I like that better. I like it asking me, although depending on what stack you are on, it doesn't ask. I guess on the highway it currently asks, but on the city stack it doesn't. Because I know for a fact sometimes she puts on the turn signal and just moves over, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then other times she asks me if she can get over, and I have to hit the stalk. So I think that's a highway versus a city stack thing. So yeah, and I also might want speed-based lane changes to go to mild. You know, again, this is one of those things when you're on the highway, you don't want to get stuck behind somebody that's doing 10, 15 mile an hour, even 5 mile an hour under the speed limit for any amount of time. You want the car to safely change lanes and move you around that car. But stuck in stop and go traffic on a US highway or a city street, you might be like, yeah, I'm turning in a couple, in, you know, just a short distance, moving into the left lane. As a human, I can see it's not really going to get me down the road any faster. Just leave me where I am and follow the traffic. So, you know, it's like having a setting without any AI behind the setting that you think will always be appropriate is, it doesn't always work out that way. Just my opinion. All right, I'm getting ready to go past the 55 sign. All right, so now it's doing what I wanted it to do. So silly me for not having that setting correctly. However, I'm not sure that I didn't have it that way at one time and it be doing that and then somehow it stopped doing that or changed over time. So anyway, it'll change again apparently after 11.3.1, but for now it is what it is. I'll just say, having worked on a software product that had user profile settings, the help desk tool that Don and I worked on at IBM, when you muck with people's profile settings, if you mess them up, you get in big trouble with your user base. I saw somebody yesterday on Twitter saying that 11.3.1 went on and they lost their user profile settings. I think the last few releases, there seems to be a limited number of cars that have been basically reset back to, I don't know, any of your settings. I tell you, I just went in at the last stoplight and took a few pictures of my screens because, you know, they're supposed to get saved up to the cloud now. I'm not sure Ruby does that, but Jules does. And I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in a position of having to try to remember all of my settings. It's kind of like, what credit cards do you carry in your wallet? What 800 numbers would you need to call? See, she changed then, right now. Then, wow, she sort of went a little far to the right. So I messed with her there. I didn't like what she did. I mean, it was total, but anyway, she didn't ask me for confirmation. So like I said, on the city stack, currently she's not asking, and on the highway stack she is. I'm pretty sure. You only drive her on the highway on Tuesdays up to the chiropractor, and that's a pretty easygoing stretch of road, not high usage at the time that I'm on it. And usually to get off at the chiropractor, I have to tell her to get off, or, you know, that it's okay to get over for that exit that she wants to take. Well, I'll be glad that will be merged, for better or worse, so we can just worry about one set of behavior instead of two different sets of behavior. That's got to be a positive step. So my recommendation to you is, if you haven't looked at your settings recently, like, you know, since you bought the car and set things up and then adjusted it a week later, it probably wouldn't hurt to go in there and review them, because they do change sometimes. And number two is, before those of us that get 11.3.1 get 11.3.1 or whatever it's going, whatever dot release it's going to be, it might be a good idea to screen capture a few of the autopilot, speed limit, whatever screen. Just take a picture with your phone so you can see how it's changed and understand how you might want to tweak it after it goes on. I certainly don't think we're going to get away with 11.3.1 without taking at least a quick peek at the user profile settings. We're out here on our walk. I just plugged in the parking deck at UNC Charlotte where we're headed tomorrow, and obviously we can make it there without having to stop on the way. But then I added the most convenient first supercharger back up the interstate, which is Lexington, and I added home, and I adjusted the order because, you know, it's never the order that I want it to be. And we don't have enough to get back to Lexington at 89% in joules and 243 miles. Understand we're driving Ruby, but similar mileage if we charge Ruby to 100%. So anyway, what we learned is we got two choices. Do a quick charge on the way down, which we probably will have time for so that we can get back to Lexington or whatever other supercharger near Greensboro we would prefer to get back to. Or we'll have to break down and go to the Mallard Creek Church Road supercharger, which is in a Harris Teeter parking lot, and we don't like to do. Mostly because it's a lot of stoplights and time getting in and out of that supercharger. And no real benefit over there. So, but we know what our choices are now. We know what our choices are in advance. We're not having to think about it tomorrow at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. We've thought about it while we're all awake and alert, and that's good. So it looks like they did come down the trail and mow yesterday. At least parts of the trail are mowed. I always sometimes wish they would make one more pass. But I can see signs of mowing on both sides. We just bent over and picked up our first bottle piece of trash, and both of us were like, oh, that first stretch of the morning down to the ground and back up. Well, that's our 3 laps around the track, and we are, yay. Oh, and we are
downhill,
headed down the trail, literally. And all these cars are still here. Well, I guess one's been moved. I mean, they might have changed over some, actually. I don't know what the deal is. To ask our friends that mow the grass over here if they know next time they're close enough to us to conveniently ask, because I'm still kind of curious about it. Looks like vehicles that belong to a bunch of hardworking guys.
Yeah, they're not.
So I don't know where they're going. They could be over at the church, and there's not enough room to park over at the church, so they're over here.
Walk over there.
Yeah, just walk over to the church site. I certainly wouldn't begrudge them that. I'm just curious.
Because that mud, you know, I hadn't thought about that. So I bet you're 99.
Did I come up with a probable?
I tell you what, I'd put money on what that you're
okay. Right. Well, we'll have to figure it out. Well, when I come home from Taekwondo, I'll see if they're still here late in the evening when they're not working at the construction site anymore. Because they are definitely working at the construction site. You see all those leaves up there, right? All this warm weather has really caused the trees to start budding out. I can only remember one year in recent memory where we had so much cold so late that even the oak trees were damaged. And the Bradford pear blooms, they get damaged a lot of years. But we had, you know, real deciduous tree damage. It'd make you want to have a tear. Hopefully that won't be this year. So far, this cool down that we've got feels pretty reasonable. It's cooler, but it's reasonable. Michelle's on her way, but she had to stop by Ariel's school to drop off something. Ariel's in the Addams Family play this weekend, so I can imagine it's a time we've got costumes and makeup and all kinds of things. I'm gonna look in Little Angel really quick and then spin over to the big store. I'm sure she'll be along soon. The school's mostly on her way. Oh yeah, that's going home with me. How about this one? I'm sure I could use a couple new ones. They're good tablecloth choices too, but they're all too short for my table. Here she is. I'm right here. Hey! And, so that's cool.
It's Grimace, and then you can undo this.
Yeah.
And take it out, and then there's the fry guy on behind
Oh,
it.
wow.
So you can take this off and put it in another bag or whatever.
Oh, it's officially McDonald's. It's got the logo on it and everything. That's
Wait till you see the Happy Meal.
Oh, wow. And Michelle just picked this up too. It's actually upside down. It goes like this as a coat rack holder. And I changed my mind and put a tablecloth in the cart, but not for the table, for the hearth. For underneath the Easter village, I'm going to change it to this one this year. The past is the past. It can never live or last. I'm having to think about that one, if I agree, disagree, slightly agree. I don't need another Easter village piece, but I'm going to take it home anyway. I don't have a school. We're always looking for a glowing Vaseline glass, and we found a piece today. Yay! All the China sets are 20% off, and this one is Lennox. That would be significant amount off. 48 pieces. It's got like all these specialty pieces with it and stuff. We don't know why we like office supplies. We just do. I was making fun of this, the Memo Master. Wonder what year that's from. I'm sure probably when cell phones came out, it wasn't so popular anymore. You just do it all on your phone. Oh my goodness, it's a hot buy, Michelle.
And I'm hot. I should buy it.
Oh, we know him. You did catch your own Pokemon. I definitely agree with this, especially this coming Monday after the stupid, and I mean it this time change. The place where you find the most unique tables. That's pretty cool. Nice inlay. Is that your final answer?
I'm waiting. I'm sticking.
Ding, 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 ding. Nothing is the right size so far today. I like it. I haven't found not one piece of clothing today, but Michelle is rocking over here on the t-shirt aisle. Yeah, Easter for Ariel. I like this one. I would wear it if it was the right size.
This is too small, but...
Aww, but I found this.
Oh!
Check it out, steampunk endoskeleton.
Love it.
That is cool. Here, fishy, 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 said every fisherman ever. Hamilton?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Okay, Donnie, I'm leaving it. I spotted it underneath stuff like from a mile away, but I already have like 8 to 12 pieces of it, so I'm gonna leave it. But it's hard. I'm leaving it. I am not bossy. I have leadership skills. There's a bin here with Legos, and look at the cool VIP bag. I mean, seriously, right? It does look like it's mostly real Legos. And it may have a Winter Village piece on the bottom here. So the box is smushed and it's from 2012, but wow. I think it's in a Ziploc bag in there, so hopefully it's all there. It probably is. Okay, now that let's just see. Does it look like it's all in there? I mean, it really does. There's the minifigure. If they left the minifigures, there's two. I'm seeing all the minifigures. If they left the minifigures, you know it's all in there. And then there was like this other Christmas tree. Christmas tree.
Haggard?
Maybe. There's one of the box games is in here. You can tell this is from one of the advent calendars. That's like a Christmas advent calendar. So there's other here's a sled. Yeah, that's not Lego. You can have it if you want it. There's a snowman. So this was a really good find.
Oh, wow.
All legitimate Lego with a couple of pieces of something thrown in there. There were all these plates. The sun is really making it hard to see, but there were all these plates, and they're all legitimate Lego. They're 16 by 16, so that's like, wow. After all that fun, we had drama. I lost my phone, and what happened is I opened up the lid on the back of the X to put some grocery bags back under, and it went through the seam and was lost down in there, and bye. I'm going inside to let them know I found it because they're all looking. The nice cashier, she showed me how to make it play a sound from my watch. How handy is that? And I did not know I could do that. I am on time to get over to St. Augustine's, and it's warmed up to a pleasant 61 out here. So lots of sun. Well, if my be, there's another Rivian behind me on this street today. There it goes. I'll just be brave and not care if they see me filming. Rivians just aren't that common yet, but getting there. This dear sweet one, she always misses her mama, don't you, honey? Hi, home. Hi, home. It's a good girl. Hey, Midnight. Wow, I pulled this Santa out from this bin too. I just continue to be impressed. I'm just looking to see if there's any more stuff. I don't see any more bags. Anyway, I'm excited. Ah. Well, I'm not going to fool with it tonight because I've got other stuff to do. But I will definitely be going through here and pulling out all of the fancy pieces. Because I don't know that there's anything in particular there to build. There is a Friends style boat. A pink boat. I thought I might put this cake in my my shop over here. We'll see. I'm working on yesterday's video. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish it up last night before I went to bed, exhausted. I got bacon in the oven. I'm cooking bacon, 3 packages, you know, our usual amount. And Dawn's under the house putting in the new dehumidifier drain line. So we're all busy doing something. The second round is in the oven, but Dawn better hurry up in because Johnny and I got into the freshly cooked bacon. I mean, how can you smell it and cook it and not eat it? Well, we're not having dinner for 3.5 or 4 hours, so we're good. So the video is rendering, but it's an hour long. It's going to take forever. And I am moving some files from my computer to my little portable plug-in hard drive, and I've got an hour and a half until I take Johnny to Taekwondo, and I'm debating between building and storage bin, and I really think I might want to do the storage bin. I won't be able to finish it. I don't know. I guess I should put a few pieces on my building. I'm not going to have time to work on it tomorrow. We watched episode 2 of season 2, or is it season 3? I've lost track of The Mandalorian last night. It was excellent. The new episodes come out on Wednesdays. Anyway, you know what? I think I'm going to do this. It's 300 pieces, well, $2.95, and it won't frustrate me, and I can complete it in an hour, and I just think that's what I feel up to doing. You might remember I got this from Guardian Angel last week. I've got a place to put it and everything, and this is what I'm going to work on. So there's 2 packages for bag 1, and that's Grogu, and there's 3 for bag step 2, which is the Mandalorian. Looks like it should be fun. Just like that, they're done. It's about 6:15, so I've got still 30 minutes before I leave with Johnny. It was a fun little build. There was one tricky thing. I pressed on something at the wrong time and the wrong way, and parts went flying everywhere on Grogu. But it's all together. They're so cute. I dropped Johnny off at Taekwondo, and you know where I am. Wow, 1,800 pieces. I only expect to see that at Christmas. Ford Transit Connect, but it's gas and a brick car, but it's Mega Block and not Lego. Hey, at least they have some Hot Wheels today.
Will you take